Hi everyone, this is Justina from Magpie and Mockingbird, and we are going to do a mini album tutorial today. This is not embellished, but this will give you the gist of what we're making. So there's a magnetic closure here, and when you open it, it opens like that. You can do pockets and belly bands and little waterfalls, whatever you want to do to decorate. You can see I've just begun. I've done washi tape and I used like a black glitter in there. So if you are interested, let's begin. All right, for this project, it would be helpful to have a scoreboard and some kind of a scoring tool or a bone folder. You need a cutter. You need chipboard. Doesn't have to be nice or high quality. You can use cereal boxes, whatever you have that is, slightly thicker than paper. We are going to be using two 8.5 by 11 pieces of black paper. This is 65-pound cardstock. This is from Michael's. All right, and then of course your glue. I prefer this Barely Art glue personally when it comes to my embellishing. Um, but when I do things like matting paper to cardstock, I'm sorry, when I'm matting cardstock to chipboard, I like Scotch, just something cheaper. Um, I would not use this for precision, and I would not use this for any delicate pieces of paper you have because it warps. All right, you could also use score tape. I will use it for a couple things, but this is not my main source, mainly because you get one shot with score tape to put things down, and I'm not that talented. All right, and then scissors. I use a basic scissors, and I have this little pair to, get in where these can't, but scissors. Get a nice sharp pencil to mark things with, and a ruler. There's my 25-cent ruler. And I think we're good. Let's just dive in. Let's see what happens. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is cut chipboard. And now looking at this, all right, you can see when I open it that this takes 4 pieces of chipboard. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but these 2 pieces on the end are smaller than these 2 pieces. The reason is that this has to tuck, and when you go to fold it, you need there to be space in here. Otherwise, this won't lay flat correctly. And then you need some extra space here because when you go to embellish, you still need to be able to close it and make the magnet work. I learned this the hard way yesterday when I did not do enough spacing. I mean, it still came out cute, right? But not at all what I had made. I had made this, but it was so thick that when I went to take the flap and put it over, it wouldn't close. So I thought, okay, I will just cut off this part. I'll still use the hinge and I'll just redo it and it will be fine. And then somehow I cut off the hinge too. So now we have this little beauty. Although I think it came out cute still, right? We got the big pockets with little tags inside them with magnetic closures. And then I just have elastic. I did, what do you call those things? For the crocodile, the eyelets, okay? And it just closes with elastic, and it's, much simpler, but it works. All right, so anyways, that is why we are going to make the cover smaller. Now, I don't know if it needs to be this dramatically smaller. This is 1/2 inch smaller. I also think you probably could get away with this not being like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch as well. I think they're the same size actually. Yeah, so I took 1/2 inch off. So if you want to play with making it a little bit bigger, feel free. As this was my second go in the same day after my journal fell apart, I decided less room was more for me. All right, let's get started. So you will need your chipboard. Now what I do is I have a second cutter and I have to mark this. See down here my blue painter's tape. I mark this to remember that this is my chipboard cutter. So this is a dull blade that will rip paper if I put paper through it. So I just use it to cut my chipboard. So don't throw out those dull blades. They can still be used. Okay, so let's get measuring. Let's see. For this journal, how big should we make it? So this is an 8.5 by almost 12. So let's do a 4 by 5. Okay. So I am going to cut 5 and 5. Okay. Hang on to this. This could be a spine, depending. Right. And then 4. 4. Perfect size spine. Hang on to that. All right. And again, 4. And 4. And oh, look at that. It's perfect. Okay. So we have our 4 pieces, right? They're 4 by 5s. And now we are just going to trim 1/2 inch off of 2 of them. And that means that we will have 4 1/2 inch pieces here. So we'll have all the spines that we need. No, that's a lie. I made one bigger. So if you look, I don't know if you noticed this. So these are 1/2 inch, but this one is 3/4. I couldn't go through it again with this not closing. So, all right. Anyways, let's go through and cut. So we'll lose a 1/2 inch here. And then we'll do a 1/2 inch here. All right. And then I just need to remember, ooh, that's not quite 5. That's a little bit over. All right. So this is 5. And let's do the bigger one. Okay. So we have spines, we have pages, we are ready to start. So I'm going to, so just in case you didn't see, all right, this is what we have so far, and basically these little dies are the spines. I'll have some extra. Save them. You could always use these. All right, and then this big one will be the last one. So it will look like that. This one looks smaller. I'm going to replace it with that one. Okay, so we will get to this, but first we have to prep the paper. So I'm going to move this to the side. All right, so I say so a lot. I'm noticing that, and I apologize. I will work on it. All right, if I line up these pages we were just working on, even if I just ignore the hinges, okay? Doesn't fit, right? Not big enough. So what we're going to do, I did it again. So, oh, all right, it's just going to happen. I apologize. We are going to tape these 2 pages together to make one nice long page so we can put everything down. However, I do not have great hand-eye coordination. And so when I try to score one giant piece of paper that doesn't actually fit in my scoreboard, it doesn't go well. So, oh God, sorry. It's just going to happen. We are going to score at 1 inch. Can you see that? Okay. 1 inch, and we are going to score all the way across. And what this is doing is just, it's giving us a line to line up our pieces on so that they are even. All right, and then let's do the next one. Also at 1 inch. I always do it 3 times. I feel like that makes it nice and deep. Okay, so we have the paper scored, but I'm going to take one and I am going to, so we scored it this way, right? I'm going to flip it this way and score at the 1 inch mark again so that I have now this right corner. All right, these are scored. Let's tape them together. This is when I use my score tape. I don't want wet glue. I don't want to wait for it to dry. Okay, so I grabbed these two, but I'm going to get this one that's like in the middle of those sizes. All right, and I am just going to lay down my score tape across this. I'm going over that score line. It's okay. I want to be able to see what we're doing. All right, so you can use your fingernail to pick this up. You can use like this Cricut tool. All right, pull off the backing, so now this is sticky. And now to the best of your ability, you are going to line these up. I'm actually looking more at the score line than anything. So here's the thing with double-sided tape, you get one shot. If that stresses you out, you can always add glue and then you have a couple more seconds to wiggle it around. But for the most part, it is a one and done. Okay. And then I always push down. So now I have this giant piece of but it's together. It's very big. And I am going to use it now to start gluing my pieces. So I like to just put them out in front of me so that I know the order that I'm gluing it. And like I said, I don't normally use this glue except for things like this. Okay, this would take a ton of Barely Art glue. You could also use the tape for this, but again, you have to be able to get straight in one shot, and that is not my forte. So here we go. I use this side. Ooh, you can't see that. I use this side, and you're going to notice like glue everywhere, and that's okay. None of this is really going to be visible. Eventually, we'll have to be more careful with the glue, and I always keep a rag nearby to kind of sop it up. Like that will, when that dries, that will show. It's not a big deal because it's going to be under chipboard right now, but if that was your cover, that would be an issue. And so you want, like a rag nearby to just kind of quickly grab it. Too late. Okay. And then I like to just go over it and make sure it's pressed down and sitting where I want to sit. Hinges, such drama yesterday when I did this. I tried to eyeball it and just make it like barely there, 1/8. Well, guess what? It was too close. And when I went to fold it, the cardboard smushed on itself and it was a disaster. So then I tried it using this tool, okay, where I would stand it up like this so that every piece would be evenly spaced. In theory, that's fantastic, but that's huge to me. It's huge. So what I would do is I would put it down, freak out that it was too big, and then move it over a little bit. So maybe that's what I'll do today. You just, if it's too big, it's floppy, and you don't want it to be floppy. But if it's too close, it's even worse because then you can't move the hinges. One thing I did was I used my square ruler and put that in between. All right, I think we're going to do that. It's not going to be pretty, but we can do it. Okay, so here is my square ruler. And what I do is I literally just hold it up and then glue it down because I like that space. Oh, yeah. Yep, that's why I do it. Okay, that's what we're doing. Here we go. All right. So gluing hinge number 1. This is only 1/2 inch. Putting down my ruler. Making sure it's flush. Okay, and this is where that score line is really going to come in handy because I can't really see the other piece to see if it's lined up. But that score line tells me it was. Thanks, score line. All right. I don't think I gave credit. I learned this whole process from my sister's scrapper, on YouTube. She has an absolutely fantastic tutorial. She's so talented. I highly recommend checking her out. If I think to do it, I'll link her down in the comments. But she is my inspiration for these 100%. Could not have started making these without her. Okay. Whoop. Oh man, a little bit of excess on that glue. All right. So chipboard is kind of warping up. There's an extra challenge. Okay, and you see how I'm like sliding my, well, maybe you can't see. There's wet glue everywhere. I'm going to make sure to wipe this because next time I go to spread, I might be spreading glue and we do not want that. Okay, so here we go. You can see lots of excess here, lots of excess here. We are going to trim that off and save the pieces because you can use that to cover up in here. And then I will show you how to wrap this. So you get my regular cutter. All right, and you want to leave about an inch, but I mean, this is not a make or break. Oh, but I don't want to touch the glue. Hang on. All right, and you always want to make sure you're pressing up against this. I can't tell you the number of times I'm paying attention to this, that, and the other thing, and it's like sideways and cuts wrong. And for me, there's no recovery from that. All right. So I left about an inch. Now, there's probably a way to put this through my cutter. I don't know it. So I'm going to use scissors. All right, and I want to leave about an inch. You do not want to short yourself on this. It is better to have too much and need to trim it after than to not have enough and to be struggling to wrap this. Spare yourself the struggle. All right, so that's about an inch. Yeah, that's definitely more like 2, but whatever, made it work. All right, now it is the folding time. So I like to start with the lines I've already scored and fold. You want nice crisp lines. All right, and this is also like, this is the front now. We do not want glue smeared all over this. It'll be covered. We still don't want it. Okay, you can go through this too. I don't know if you've noticed. You can see it's definitely warping a bit, but that's okay. It's all going to be covered. Okay, so that was a lot of talking to only fold this. So now I'll fold this. All right. And then we'll fold And I try to get my fingers, it's awkward. There's no way around it. It's awkward. It's big and awkward. But try to like push it with your fingers, and then you know you can go back in and fine tune it with your bone folder. All right. And this one should be easier because this is the score line. So we already have something to work with here. All right. So folding is done. Onto the mitering. So basically when we go to wrap this paper, we need as little paper as possible for the corners. Otherwise it gets big and bulky and hard to work with, hard to glue down. It looks weird. It sits weird. Thing is though, you don't want to cut right around the edge because then it will expose it and you'll have a brown corner sticking out of your black book. Doesn't look good. Where is my little bag of tools? So there's two ways to do it. You can eyeball it. Some days that's great for me. Some days it's a bad choice. This is okay. Where did that little pink stick that was too big? Right here. Okay, this all came in here. Carolina's Crafts. She recommended this. It comes with like different tools. I was all excited about this because I cannot line things up, except this part is bent. So yeah. All right. Anyways, this tool will help you. So if you can't eyeball it, no big deal. What you do is you take this tool and you hook it into the corner and then you cut this off, okay? And again, you don't have to have a tool. I didn't have a tool for a long time. I love it now because every corner is even. But if you take your scissors and you start going toward the corner and then you pivot away, same thing. All right, so I have that on there. I have my lovely scissors. I cut. Can you see? Nope, you can't. All right, so there's a little bit of space right there. That's exactly what I want. Next, hook this in, cut. All right, flip, hook this in. Can't cut that way, so I have to cut this way. All right, and last. Take your time with this. You just spent all that time matting. Last thing you'll really want to do is mess up all this part. Okay, so this, I like to save scraps. These I do not. So this little tool, very helpful. All right, so let's start with the ends. And again, cheapo glue because everything's going to be covered and then covered again. So what I'm going to do is just add glue. Make sure you get those corners, edges, okay? You don't want any of this coming back up. All right, and I've already folded it so it goes down quite easily. And then I always go over it, probably an excessive amount of times, but you want that to lay flat, okay? Flip it over, same thing. Add the glue. Push it down and go over it. Okay. All right. Now we have to fold this bottom part up. And when I do, what I want to do is check my corners. And because I use that tool, if you can see, nope, you can't see. It's black against black. All right. How about now? Can you see that gorgeous corner right there? And I am going to glue that down. See how much barely art glue this would take? tons. And then push it down. Afterwards, we'll go through, and score through here. Just not going to do it yet. All right, and come through here. Make sure you get in those corners and those edges. There we go. Fold up. And then use your tool and flatten this. Okay, so now we need to cover our chipboard with paper. I zoomed in so it's easier to see. I don't use measurements for this part. I just take my paper and a pencil and I mark. So I want this to go right to the edge. I'll give myself a little bit of wiggle room there. And then I want it to just, land on either side. And again, a little bit of wiggle room. And then I take my paper cutter and I cut out that slice. And usually I cut and then glue and then cut and then glue, because by that point I've already forgotten what piece goes where. And that's what's easier for me. It might be easier for you to do all the cutting and then all the gluing. Figure out what works best for you. All right, so I have this little piece that I'm just going to glue down here, although you can see, it's going to be covered. You can see my pencil marks, but again, not a big deal, or make that your glue side, up to you. Okay, so back to my Scotch glue. I'm saving my Fairly Art for the finer things, like my Echo Park Halloween paper. All right, and I am going to make sure I line this up. You do want to be precise with this, because if you don't get close enough, you're going to see the chipboard. But if you hang over, you are going to mess up that hinge you just worked so hard to space. All right, that's done. Find is that no matter how hard I try to cover this, something always shows, right? So it's a Posca pen. It's a black Posca pen. I'm still going to cover it with paper, but just to give myself peace of mind, I just go through and just do the very edge with paint marker. And that way, if I am not exactly to the line, it's okay. This black paper is going to be one layer. I'm going to put another layer on top of it. Actually, a little bit there. Okay, and you see, like, it's not much. Just darkens it a bit. All right, I just found this piece of scrap. That is going to be perfect. Okay, now I line it up based on this chipboard. I do not go side to side, because this, can you see that? This is the hinge. This is where it's going to be opening, and I don't want to shove paper or anything in there, or you're going to struggle every time you go to open and close this. So when I go to measure this, I am only measuring the chipboard. I am not measuring the entire hinge. All right. And so again, I do this one at a time because each hinge is probably slightly different in size because I'm not great at measuring. And there's going to be some variables. All right, so there is my paper. All right, and I'm going to just glue that there. And see, you can't see any chipboard. And I have to imagine it's a little bit because of the black marker. And then don't worry about trying to get to the edge. I do that with my next layer of paper, not with this. This is just to cover up the chipboard. So glue that down, and then we're going to do that 2 more times. And again, you want to get those corners, make sure it sticks completely. And do you see what I mean about the glue? Like it's pretty bad right now, but we'll cover that all up. So no need to worry about it. If you want to, though, you could be going through this and doing it neater and have that towel ready to blot it right away if that bothers you. All right. Right here, you can like follow your score line, okay? And up here, you want to kind of help yourself out. And then you're going to fold it. So if I can't fold this flat, that's getting ripped off. Lucky day, it folds. Okay, if you're struggling with this part, you might just need to work it a bit. Might be worth going back to the drawing board. Okay, you're still pretty early on. You want these hinges to move easily. All right, so I'm just scoring along the hinges so that when I go to fold, it doesn't, rip on me. Oh, and there's going to be a seam at one of these parts. Remember how we had to tape? Okay, it's right here. We had to tape those pages together. It's in the middle. Yeah, that's nice. It's in the middle of a section. That's going to be easy to cover. It's hard when it's on a hinge to kind of cover it as well. Doesn't blend as well. All right, so again, score and fold. Just pushing down. Okay. And score. And fold. Ooh, did you see that? That might need a paint marker. Let's see. All right, almost there. 2 more scores, 2 more folds. That's nice. I think this hinge space was perfect. You can feel when you've done it right. It's a nice smooth flow. All right. Perfect. All right, you guys, we did it. The base is done. All right, I wanted to zoom out so you could see it in its full glory. Okay, the side that has the bigger hinge, We want that to be the opening side. So starting from the left, we just fold it, and then you have to kind of help it a bit. Here, you can't see that. It's slanted. You just help it go straight like that, okay? And it will straighten as we design. And then the top can easily flip over. All right, and then we are going to do our magnet from here to stick to here. And then it's just embellishing. This is the fun part. All right, and this is what, I'm not sure if I was making sense before. When we were gluing those two papers together, all right, you have that seam line. We're going to cover it. Just look how nice and smooth. Okay, and the inside's a mess right now. All right, it's all gluey. That's okay. We're going to cover it. See, I went through, I haven't even done my nice paper yet. This was just to add a pop of color to go underneath my nice paper, and you can see like it was just as gluey, if not worse. Look at that. Looks great, right? And can you tell there are magnets here and here? You can't, because these magnets are the best. All right, so now you have to decide on color. I am using Echo Park Trick or Treats in here. All right. It's adorable. I love it. And you can see there's oranges, whites, greens, blacks, or I already said orange. Wish there was purple. If there's not purple, that's okay. So what I'm going to do is glue down like orange, green, and then again, orange, green. I'm going to decorate the spines, and then I'm going to go through. Where's my other one to show you? Where'd that go? Then, oh, here it is. Okay. And then I'll go through after that and put the Echo Park paper on top. So you can see it was the black paper, then the orange paper, now it's the Echo Park paper. See that? And then underneath you could tell like, oh, okay, there was green paper there. But it works really well. So this is, again, you don't really measure. It's like what we were doing before with the black paper. So, I'll get my green page and I'll put it here and I'll mark it, cut it out, glue it down. I will switch over for this to the Barely Art glue from this point on. I don't want anything warping from this layer on. First, though, before I do that, I place my magnets, because if I don't do that now, I will not remember. So let me just walk you through placing magnets, and then you can go decorate. All right, I will link the name of these magnets. So here's my story about magnets. I absolutely loved watching videos and seeing people use magnets. I love the sound it makes when it catches, all of it. I could not use magnets to save my life, and I didn't know what was wrong with me, because it was like bulging out of the paper, or the magnets were ripping off and not strong enough, and I'd be using a ton of them, and the moment I covered it with paper, it would stop working. So the quality, all that to say, the quality of the magnet 100% matters. So if you look here, all right, these were the magnets I was using. Can you see how thick they are? Okay, and then I switched to these and I was still struggling. And if you look at underneath, I don't know if you can see how big this is compared to this. Okay, sorry, still figuring out my camera. This is night and day. And even though this is just this little sliver of a magnet, it's so strong. And once I started using these, complete game changer. And I have to thank Carolina from Carolina's Crafts. She was talking about her video, and I was so frustrated with magnets. I thought, okay, I'm just going to give this a try. And I ordered them, and I live in the U.S., so it was free shipping. And they came, and I will never go back to anything else. They are the best magnets I've ever used. And if you go on her YouTube page, she's got a discount code too. So thank you, Carolina, for this recommendation. You have changed my life with magnets. Okay, so you might have noticed this like black thing in between. It's just a piece of plastic to separate them. It just makes it easier for me when I'm working with it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a piece of double-sided tape and cut off a piece and stick it down onto one magnet. All right. I like to wrap a little bit on the side. That makes it easier for me to peel it up. All right, so now it's sticky. So I want this to magnet shut, right? You don't want to put anything here. These magnets are amazing, but you don't want to push it, right? And have something right on the edge like that. So you want to, bring it in a little bit. So now my bottom magnet is taped here. So now I'm going to take another, oh, that was too big. Oh, we will make it work. All right, you're going to take another piece of double-sided tape. You're going to put it on the other magnet, and then you are going to carefully line this up. And I mean, take your time with this because you just spent all this time doing this. You're going to decorate it. And if this doesn't close at the end of the day, you're going to be sad. I can tell you from my own life. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm looking in here to try to make that as straight as possible. And now I'm closing it. Okay. And I'm going to open it. And now I'm going to put this back on, but I have a magnet here and a magnet here. And I'm not going to mess with it actually because it's just going to rip it off. But now I can so I do my like basic paper over it, and then I do Echo Park over that, and this still works. This is 3/8 of an inch. It's that strong, and it's so tiny. Can you see that? Like it's barely a blip on there. It's wonderful. So if you're going to do a magnetic closure, do that. You can see with this one, I used my crocodile to set an eyelet. So I did an eyelet here, and I put some elastic through it, decorated with a bead, and it's with, elastic. You could pop an eyelet through the middle here, put ribbon in, tie it up with ribbon. You have so many options. Closures are 100%, in my opinion, the hardest part. I also think it's like the last thing that you do, and you're so proud of this thing, you don't want to mess it up, so it puts extra pressure on you. But anyways, I am going to mat this with orange, maybe orange. I think I ran out yesterday. I'm going to mat this with at least green. And I will be back with the finished product to do a project share. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.